tomorrow morning. Roger doesn't know about this yet, but it ties into some news that's already here in front of us from Breitbart. I want to get his take on a big breaking story we've got about Hillary and her warmongering and working with Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Islamic State. Breitbart's kind of got a smell of this early. Hillary Clinton sponsored Secret of Arab Spring program that destabilized the Middle East. So I'll get Roger's take on this once I can show him the article tomorrow. It'll be up at 5 a.m. Central Standard Time when Paul Watson, who just finished it today, posted. So much to cover, so much to break down. Roger, I've got a stack of polls here showing Trump continuing to surge, but then I've got mainstream articles about dead voters voting in Colorado where he's surging. We haven't talked in a few days, so I don't know what's front and center for you, the master of the dark art of telling the truth. I'm a dark art. You're a master of dark arts, so I guess I'm your minion. What are we dealing with here, Dark Lord?
We're conspiracy analysts is what we are, as Gore Vidal used to say. Alex, I'm in New York City, kind of in the bunker, preparing some of the grassroots support for Donald Trump at this debate. And I've got to tell you, I've been putting in long hours. If it was not for brain force, which really has given me an enormous amount of clarity and energy. Now, you didn't pay me to say that. I didn't tell you I was going to say it. It's merely a fact. Well,
thank you. I saw you on the road at the RNC with big bottles of it. It is the best nootropic, the healthiest brain booster out there. So thanks for the plug, Roger Stone.
Well, look, I've been into alternative medicine, Eastern-based medicine for many years. The Chinese, even the Egyptians, knew more about the healing qualities of herbs and the importance of vitamins. So I know they try to use it to make us sound like we're odd, but they're the ones.
Hey, hang that albatross around our necks. We love it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm feeling very confident going into this debate because the Donald Trump that I have known for 40 years is an instinctual fighter.
In fact, I was reading, he's not even doing the AP reports pre-debate. He is going to rise to the occasion.
There are some inside his camp who have tried to press him into these mock debates where somebody plays Hillary and Donald would play himself. Now, Gerald Posner actually sent me an email offering to put on a size 16 pantsuit and play Hillary if Trump wanted him. That's not Trump's style.
So you've been offered to play Hillary already?
Well, this gentleman volunteered. The famous author of the book Case Closed,
yes.
Bolstering the Warren Commission, an attorney, a wily debater. He's wrong, of course, at least on that issue. But, Alex, I commend to you his books on Saudi influence in the United States politics and the early dangers of Al-Qaeda, on which his books are on the money.
Boy, Trump sure destroyed Hillary when he said it was a bombing in New York, and then it was a bombing in New York, and then for 3 days she said it wasn't a bombing, and then now we've got another Islamist attack out in Seattle. It seems like the stars are lining up against Hillary.
Well, I think she carries a lot of baggage into the debate. The point, of course, is that Trump is not going to do the formal kind of mock debating. Nobody's going to play him, not Gerald Posner, not Laura Ingraham, not anybody. He has his own way of preparing. So, yes, people who ask me, is he preparing? Yes, in his own way. He's thinking. He's taking notes. Once in a while, he asks people questions. He doesn't tell you what he thinks of your answer. He's got a wide cross-section of very smart friends. But at the end of the day, there's only one Trump advisor that matters. That's Donald Trump. No one can put words in his mouth. The idea of remembering a zinger, he just doesn't work that way. Now, Roger Ailes, who is, to my mind, one of the smartest guys ever in television, and who's a longtime friend of Donald's, who has no formal capacity in the campaign, did, however, tell Donald advice that he gave Ronald Reagan, the same advice I gave Ronald Reagan, the same advice I would give Mr. Trump, but I don't like to divulge our personal conversations. that he should be thematic, stick to the big picture. You don't need to know how many freighters are in our naval force or the name of every sub-chief of a tribe in Africa. You just need to stick to the general themes. You may remember when Reagan debated Mondale, and he was prepared for his debate by Dick Darman from Harvard, former Elliot Richardson aide, and Jim Baker. They tried to cram Reagan's head with facts and figures and statistics. Nancy Reagan later said they brutalized her husband. It was the only debate in his long political career that he lost. So it is with Trump. He will win this debate his way.
Well, obviously, he's somebody that nobody would want to debate on his feet if he's himself. What about Hillary, though? I mean, she can't be out in public more than 10, 15 minutes. She's been missing for a week. She's with weird blue screens behind her, coughing and choking on TV when she does show up for a few minutes. Her eyes are pointing different directions. I'm not being mean. She looks like a cancer patient. What is she going to do? I mean, I don't think, quite frankly, I don't think she can show up and do 90 minutes with no break.
Well, in negotiations, I can tell you it was Trump who insisted on standing. Her aides preferred being seated. It was Trump who insisted 90 minutes, no long bathroom breaks, no commercial interruptions. So it really, Trump has gotten a format that I think is beneficial.
That's my next question. This is a godsend. How did this happen? Everything's been rigged against him. How suddenly did the gods of manna open up the sky and he gets exactly what makes sense?
Well, I wouldn't go quite that far. There's a woman on this moderating list who she doesn't have the first debate, but I believe she has the last.
So they've got some knives and daggers and things hidden.
Obama attended this woman's wedding. She's a good friend of the Clintons. So I don't know who agreed to these set of moderators. I note that Donald Trump came out the other day and said no moderators. Lincoln versus Douglas.
Exactly.
The biggest debates of all time.
But still, it's a bigger challenge than that so-called, commander-in-chief debate a few weeks ago that was just 30 minutes with her, 30 minutes with him.
And which indisputably she has some kind of earpiece. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. However, she just told the FBI recently that she can't remember anything.
And she's got this black Secret Service agent jumping up saying, keep going, just act calm, everything's fine.
Right. So, I've seen video of her falling off the back of the stage. I mean, she's doing practice.
Roger, we're about to go to break, but let me ask you this. In your gut, do you think she shows up, and if she does, does she have a coughing fit, or does she collapse?
All right, when we return.
And again, we want to plug the websites. I carry both your books, the Clinton's War on Women, the Bush Crime Family, InfoWarsStore.com. Can Hillary Clinton, I mean this, because quite frankly, I want this to happen tomorrow night. I want Trump to destroy her. This is a serial criminal. I just can't wait to see it. But I am absolutely questioning myself right now. Will she show up? I don't think she can. I mean, she's been gone for a week. If she does, what are the bets? Coughing fit, 90%. Falling down, 30, 40%. I mean, having to hang on the podium, but will that be her victimhood? In the new America, will it be if she, craps her diapers, her adult diapers? Will that be read by the Democrats as the new tea leaves, the new portend to worship? Roger Stone from StoneColdTruth.com, straight ahead. And the empire is corporate crony capitalists that are anti-free market, that work with different forms of authoritarianism. Our guest is going to be with us till 45 after. The last segment, we're going to have purely to cover news with Leah McAdoo, but she's here riding shotgun with us right now to this segment and the next. Pop it anytime, Leah. We got 2 more segments with Roger Stone. Tomorrow, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., I'll be live on the air. And then we've got the coverage of the debate an hour before. I'm actually licensing the debate, so I'll be carrying it live for an hour and a half. And then 2 hours after. So I want to invite Roger, who's obviously a busy guy, to pop in during or after the debate tomorrow. But, Roger, I mean, I'm on the edge of my seat at a level I've never been before. Obviously, you're the former head of the Trump campaign, his friend for a long time, been advising, doing a great job. But I see the power structure in total panic. Ted Cruz being forced to endorse. the neocons basically falling, the Republican establishment dying. We've got inside videos on InfoWars of Democratic Party leaders saying, we like Trump. The Democrats we know all like Trump. Talk about a landslide. I don't want to be overconfident here, but it looks like that, as I said earlier, the stars are aligned against Hillary Clinton. Roger Stone.
Well, Alex, if you want evidence that Donald Trump is about to win, merely look at the endorsement of him by Ted Cruz. This guy is a weasel who knifed Donald Trump in the back at the Republican National Convention, Nelson Rockefeller style. But now he's figured out that there's an avalanche coming. There's a tidal wave of reform coming as angry Americans storm the polls. There is, in fact, I think, a small but significant hidden vote in that it is not socially cool to be for Donald Trump. On the other hand, anyone who's seen Hillary attempt to dance should realize that this is the least cool candidate of all time.
So the Republican establishment's panicking. They're on the wrong side of history. How do they counter-strike? What do they do now?
Well, I think they're kind of running out of options. Trump's gains most recently in the polls, Alex, were largely Republicans coming home, meaning they are deserting their neocon leaders because the Republican establishment always pretends to be conservative.
Exactly. I shot a video yesterday that's gone viral that I say Ted Cruz endorsed of Trump marks the end of Glenn Beck and the Republican establishment.
Well, in essence, yes. It is. He's obviously trying to save his political career. By the way, I am hopeful that former Governor Rick Perry will choose to challenge the globalist Bush boy, Ted Cruz, who's, as you know, Alex, his campaign underwritten secretly by Wall Street, enormous suspicious loans that he never reported.
Exactly. Let's be clear. We're not mad at him in a pissing contest because he tried to defeat Trump. It's that he's a Judas Iscariot, a Benedict Arnold. He was always a fake. We know he'll turn against us in the future. That's why Cruz and Beck must be basically marked out here.
Yes. I mean, Ted Cruz is a Quisling. His wife is in the Council on Foreign Relations. I rest my case. Let's move on.
Exactly. So, Goldman Sachs. But it shows a collapse in confidence for Hillary. So what comes next?
Well, as I have discussed, there are a number of options available to them. The most obvious one is to steal this election. Now, the Democrats try to dismiss this, and they try to distract us into believing that voter fraud is the only issue and that is non-existent. Well, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. It's widely practiced in the Democratic machines. Fox News the other night had an excellent series on people who voted in 2 states in the same year. So it most certainly exists. But I'm more concerned, as you know, with vote rigging. Look what Trump has said. These elections are rigged. We have established by a Stanford study that shows it was done to Bernie Sanders that these machines are easily rigged for a desired result.
So that's the big problem. And we see Hillary in these weird, where she's acts like a whole new person, babbling, saying, why ain't I going to win 50 points? She seems to be melting down. So I guess she's betting everything on election fraud.
Well, again, 45 days is an eternity in politics. We certainly know the trajectory of this race. Trump is gaining, now 2 points down in Pennsylvania. Extraordinary. This is their stronghold. The Philadelphia machine, of course, is famous for election fraud and non-existent and dead voters. Here's a trivia question for you, Alex. What state has more dead people on the state voter rolls than any other? Why, it's the Keystone State. This is Armageddon. The reason Trump is gaining here is because he has an appeal in Western Pennsylvania that no Republican has ever had before.
That's right. They say he's either ahead or in a dead heat or 3 points behind in Pennsylvania in a bunch of different polls. What does that mean?
Well, essentially, there are white, patriotic, God-fearing, tax-paying Democrats who are most likely union members. In Western Pennsylvania, it is a stronghold for the unions. And these Americans are rejecting Hillary. They voted for Obama. They voted for Hillary's husband, but they are now voting for Donald Trump. This, in a way, offsets the huge loss he's going to get in the city of Philadelphia. He's going to come out of there 750,000 votes down, perhaps more, if the machine does its job. The counties around Philadelphia, once reliably Republican, are now really purple.
Well, what about the Google poll they admittedly did where she was 20-something points ahead? Now she's only 5 points ahead. That's what really panicked her. And 2 days after that, she went to D.C. to give a speech. I mean, if she can't win D.C., my God.
Yeah, look, she's Trump now ahead in Ohio, despite the fact that the Kasich machine and the state Republicans are doing everything humanly possible to undermine the campaign.
Sure. So what about the chairman of the Joint Chiefs saying in Congress yesterday, or Friday, 2 days ago, he's been ordered to attack Russia, and he doesn't think it's a good idea. I mean, he's been ordered by Obama to start World War III. I played the clip earlier. I mean, I can't believe I'm reading these headlines. I played the clip. I mean, it seems like, what will they pull? A war? Economic collapse? A race war?
No, wait a minute. Hold on. Isn't it Trump who's in bed with the Russians? This line of attack needs to be addressed. Dianne Feinstein, a tired old Democratic hack who's been in the Senate a long time and whose husband has made millions in sweetheart federal questionable deals, is calling for an investigation into Trump's business affairs in Russia or with Russians, of which he has none. Big headline.
Sure, but meanwhile, Obama is ordering an attack on Russian forces. This is mainstream news.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows you how craven and disingenuous it is. They
can't win an election. Here's they're going to start World War III. Arrest these people.
I think that they will do just about anything they can get away with.
So that's my question. We're going to break, coming back with you in closing. What are they going to pull? Roger Stone, the consummate political insider, not an insider like he's an establishment, but the guy that knows what's going on. Roger always gives us what he really thinks. You know, for over a year, he's saying Trump's behind. Oh, my God, I'm so worried. Now he says Trump's way ahead, which is clearly he is. What do they pull? I mean, they're trying to start wars, economic collapse, race riots, George Soros, hundreds of millions to start race riots. What happens? Roger Stone will ask you with Leanne McAdoo straight ahead on Alex Jones. All right, Leanne McAdoo is here, one of our great reporters. She'll be co-hosting with myself tomorrow night during the pre-debate, debate, and after-debate. Roger Stone, former head of the Trump campaign, confidant, will be joining us in the post-debate after 9:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern. But Leanne, it's funny. You were wanting to bring up a subject when you called me yesterday and said, hey, I want to come on the show Sunday, which you're always welcome to do. I always say, hey, come on when you want to come on. You wanted to bring up Gennifer Flowers and the genius of Trump coming out and saying, oh, you want to bring Mark Cuban to put in the front stage? I'll bring somebody that he settled a sex case with, Gennifer Flowers. So it's funny. Then Stone, during the break, wants to bring this up, so you're on the same page. Right. You go ahead and lead this interview with Roger Stone.
Right, and now even, of course, as the media coming out today saying, well, now the Trump camp is backpedaling. They're not going to have Gennifer Flowers. She's not there. He tweeted, perhaps I'll have her in the front row.
She says she wants to come.
She said right away, she's like, I'll be there. I would love to be your VIP guest.
Better look at the Mark Cuban.
What I thought was so genius about it, and this is just the genius of how Trump can control the media and control the narrative, is even if she never does show up to become his guest, it forced the media to have to report on just who Gennifer Flowers is, because there's so many young people under 30 who have no idea who Gennifer Flowers is. They don't believe all the stories about Bill Clinton or, you know, what people have been bringing up. So, and they're one of the largest voting blocs now.
They don't know about what a predator this guy is,
exactly.
Or I stole the Haitian money. Roger Stone.
Yeah.
This is exactly right. First of all, the prelude to a debate is somewhat like the prelude to a prize fight. You're supposed to psych out and taunt your opponent. This is the genius of Trump. He didn't say he was inviting her. He said perhaps he was inviting her. Now, the Clinton campaign said they were inviting Mark Cuban, a man who made all of his money in a Federal Reserve created boom in which most Americans lost billions. So I imagine that Mr. Cuban wants Hillary's loose Fed policies so he can continue to be a pirate. He sold his company to Yahoo for a
Sure,
huge
how
amount.
pathetic is he wanting to join the campaign to be a VP a year ago, now butthurt? I mean, is he really just lusting after Donald Trump? Is this kind of a latent gay worship thing?
Look, he and Trump have not been close friends, but he went from mildly kind of saying, well, you got to give the guy credit, to now being the attack dog.
So he's a spurned, he's a spurned latent, and there's nothing wrong being gay. He's
Well,
just,
yeah, because didn't Mark Cuban open up his stadium to him at the last minute for his huge crowds that Trump had in the last minute?
so Cuban's got a crush on him and is spurned.
Well, it's worse than that. This poor bastard goes out and defends the Clinton Foundation. They push him out to say, oh, no, it's a great charity. It's like that jackass James Carville. People will die if they go out of business. No, people have already died because they're in business. Black Lives Matter unless you live in Haiti, unless you live in Libya or any place else that the Clintons wish to.
Where they only gave 5.7% of the money they gave.
Right, they only wanted to get in there because they wanted to steal the resources. And exploit
Absolutely.
it.
What's interesting here, and I can tell you this, is that immediately after Trump posted this, Dolly Kyle contacted me. Someone who had spoken to Juanita Broderick contacted me. Paula Jones, representative, contacted me. And they were all willing to come to the debate or do anything else to let people know on behalf of Donald Trump the way Hillary Clinton has led the attack on women. Bill Clinton is a sexual predator who has abused women. This is about violence against women. Hillary has covered it up, and therefore she is complicit in it. And these women are all more credible than Hillary Clinton.
Right. Now, you know what I'm curious about, Mr. Stone? What do you think about the fact that Fox News had an article up yesterday talking about Bill Clinton being on Epstein's plane? And they actually released the plane log there showing how many times Bill Clinton...
What, the pedo plane?
Yes, off to Orgy
The admitted
Island,
child rape plane?
Off to Orgy Island. Like, how...
Yeah, why is
insane.
Clinton on the pedophile plane?
Now all of a sudden they're reporting on it.
First of all, with all due respect to the New York Times, Nick Bryant broke the story for Gawker. He had it all. There's not a morsel of news in the Times story today that doesn't tell us what Bryant ordered. He is not a conservative, not a Republican, and one of the greatest investigative reporters living today.
No, you're right. Gawker did break it.
Mr. Epstein gave money to the Clinton Foundation. It has not only never been returned, but it mysteriously disappeared from their voluntary website.
Oh.
So, and we know that Clinton visited the hedonistic Orgy Island that Epstein...
So what does this mean? He's blackmailed? He's compromised?
Well, it's very hard to say. The rumor has always been that Epstein, a billionaire hedge fund manager, financial genius, had video of Bill. Anything is possible in this murky world. Yeah. We do know that he was given a slap on the wrist by both Democrats in Florida and the Republicans in Washington.
All right, Stone, let me ask you this, because you're going to be on with us tomorrow night. StoneColdTruth.com, carry both your books, InfoWarsStore.com, and your Bill Clinton rape shirt. So important to wear that, expose what's happening. What else is on your radar? What else are you looking for? What else are you concerned about? Then Leanne, jump in with what else you're concerned about.
Well, you have the entire question of the decree consent that the Republicans foolishly signed in 1982, which essentially prevents many of the Stop the Steal activities that we have been looking at, potentially leading the way to an enormous legal battle. If the polls are unattended, if only the watchers for the federal government and the watchers for the Democratic Party are watching the polls.
And how naked is that? First we bring it up, Trump brings it up, it doesn't exist. Now, we got to have the UN come in and the Justice Department run everything, and that's pretty clear.
What a joke.
Yes, I think that's it is one of the dangers. I have said many times on this show, and I repeat it, that I fear for Trump's physical safety. It's not something I want to belabor, but it is he is leading a revolution, and he is threatening.
Sure. So election fraud, Trump assassination, big war, October surprise. What about a fake attempted assassination on Hillary?
Look, the globalists will do anything. They killed John Kennedy. They infiltrated the Watergate burglary teams to botch the mission and bring Nixon down. They lied about health care. They have lied about war in Libya.
So the sky's the limit. The next 40-something days is an epic time to be alive.
Muammar Gaddafi had agreed to abdicate and had given, in 3 different negotiations, everything Hillary's State Department wanted. Everything. We still spent $1 billion bombing that country, killing black people, and deposing a guy who was sharing his intelligence with us, who had renounced.
Well said. You're back with us tomorrow after the debate at 10:30 Eastern, 9:30 Central. Leanne, final comment. We're going to come back with you after Roger Stone leaves us, but final question for him.
Well, we see they're already planning World War III behind the scenes. This might be the October surprise that we're all going to get nuked before anyone gets into office. Trump's already said he is running on diplomacy, not destruction. Meanwhile, we know Hillary Clinton's just going to get in there, and if she gets in, she's going to take out another player on the.
So are you saying what is the October surprise, or what?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, what is Trump's plan?
Roger, what is the October surprise, or how will Trump counter this?
If I revealed surprises that could come in October, I would be telegraphing punches. This is going to be a very close, very hard-fought campaign.
Well, you got some gigantic juicies that you promised to, at least in near time, give us one of the exclusives, others exclusives, but we're going to have some exclusives right here, right, sweetie?
Giblets.
Well, I think that's a high probability. There's a lot to play out yet. The WikiLeaks are going to be significant. The debates are going to be significant.
It's one hell of a time to be alive, and if you go to the StoneColdTruth.com, you'll find it all. Roger Stone, we'll talk to you tomorrow night, 10:30 Eastern, 9:30 Central, during the post-debate coverage. Thank you, sir.
Good to be here.
Yeah, good to be here. This is a hell of a time to be alive at InfoWars.com. Can't believe it. We are the tip of the spear. That ain't hype. We are it, baby. Stay with us. Leanne's coming up.